Welcome to the Monk's Garden.
Thank you so much. How beautiful. Gorgeous.
Well, this is a great place to start because our records go back to the fact it was certainly here in about 1100 AD.
My goodness, wow.
And in 1216 there were 61 apples and pear trees planted.
Gorgeous.
And today we're reflecting the past in terms of the lavender, and there's a lot of crab apples. So this was a working herbery. We'd had lots of herbs and probably some vegetables.
Yep.
And then it was turned into a leisure garden, if you like, by the second Earl of Carnarvon about 1780, where it's been ever since. And now I'm kind of trying to reflect the lavender and the figs and the medlars and etc.
No, stunning.
with everything else. So this leads me into the fact that you are going to be the designer. You are the designer.
I am the designer, yes,
for
correct.
the Viking garden at the RHS.
Correct, yes indeed.
My most favourite week of the year, probably. What I think is quite fun is it's one of the most successful social events of the entire year in England, and nothing moves. It's the garden. So it's so
exactly.
No moving anything.
Yep.
But
And
it's magic. And I know you're doing a balcony garden.
Correct,
for,
yes. So it's a small garden, so it's only 5 metres by 2 metres. But really what we want to try and do and show is just what you can do in a small space. Because I think sometimes people fear small spaces and think, oh my goodness, I can't do very much with it. But actually, with a little bit of planning and thought, you can. And why shouldn't you have, you know, a beautiful garden that's just literally outside your doorstep?
Well, I think it makes you feel better inside than the living space. So
exactly.
I grew up in London, and round the mansion flats that we lived in was a balcony.
Yep.
And my mother adored growing things on the balcony.
Yep, exactly.
In her case, mainly flowers.
Yes.
But today I have lots of pots outside my own farmhouse kitchen filled with the parsleys, the leicesters, the rocket.
Yep.
Fennel, whatever else I'm growing to cook with.
Exactly, that's it. You know, when you look at pots and containers, you can't be too selective. What you want is to bring it all together, because ultimately space is precious.
It is.
And so by putting it all together, but also I just love seeing the vibrancy of it all together. And then you've got companion planting as well, right? And so you've got, you know, an essence of actually, you know, roses and, you know, things like tomatoes, for example, grown with marigolds. They act as a pest resistance, you know, so there's lots of different things.
So we have a vegetable garden at the back here, and that's what we're always trying to do, or putting cosmos around, whatever else we're trying to mix to help. So it's less segmented, less formal. All the formal gardens from here disappeared over the course of 2 world wars.
Wow.
So this is more formal, and then as we go out it's more wibbly wobbly.
Okay, oh, I love wibbly wobbly. Oh wow, how stunning. Gorgeous.
Spring gardens and tulips.
Absolutely stunning. Peonies.
Oi, off, come on.
Wow, this is absolutely beautiful.
So from the white border we've come into here. Some of the white tulips actually turned out to be pink, so we've been moving things around, which is a bit of a disaster.
No,
pretty, isn't it?
It's really pretty, and I love the way that the paths are all curved and the planting beds are curved.
I think life is serpentine, so gardens to my mind reflect our life with different parts. Some things flow, and then sometimes you have to go through an archway into the next period. And sometimes you can't see what's around the corner.
Correct,
which is both scary and exciting. Much of the garden here is aimed more at July and August. George and I have augmented it with tulips and narcissi, lilies of the valley, some places, and some small narcissi.
No,
but it just
beautiful.
gives us pleasure at all times of the year.
Absolutely. Like, look at that colour. And the other thing as well, colour's really interesting. So a lot of people tend to go for the more pastel colours, so the lighter hues. But actually, the minute that you start looking at something a little bit warmer and darker, it attracts your eye immediately. And I think sometimes people really fear that strong colour. And for me, I love colour.
My husband loves it. It's what because there's oranges there and oranges there. And then from this part, which is the more structured part, we've then go round through here. I'm going to actually take you the other way in a second.
Okay, But
come and have a quick look round here.
Okay. It's absolutely stunning. Beautiful. Gorgeous archways as well.
Yes, I like these.
And I think sometimes as well, you need that balance of height as well. Oh my goodness, okay. Wow. Look at this. Oh,
So we've planted about 350,000 bulbs now.
Oh my goodness.
Time-lapse bulb planting.
Wow.
And it is magic,
stunning.
isn't it?
It's so magical.
So it's divided into spring, summer, autumn, winter.
Yeah.
There's a walnut walk which leads through to a rose arbor, where there's a new garden I'm creating in that direction.
Yeah.
So it's about a 45-minute walk around 4 people, which is lovely.
It's beautiful.
And more benches put everywhere. And there's a lot of, I love old tree stumps.
Yeah.
Where the fairies
character.
live. So that's very important.
But also as well, like it brings so much, you know, you look at all that moss, but also the insects that are probably hiding in there and living, you know, the whole ecosystem. You know, life doesn't really end with a tree stump.
No.
So it's just beautiful, gorgeous.
I love that tree stump.
Yeah.
I count the dogs as we go through each gate.
Oh, we're ready.
Are you ready? Hang on, actually wait. Wait for me first. I'm first. Stop. Wait. Wait.
Sit.
Wait. Sit. Wait. Sit. Wait. 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 Very good. Off you go. You can go too now.
Oh.
This is one of my favouriteest bits because look at all the possibilities. This is going to be a Daphne garden.
Beautiful.
Daphne Dormer was a friend of mine, well, for 42 years, like an extra mummy in a sense. And I thought I'd have a Daphne garden because she sadly died, and she was a huge friend of Katerina Hagen's.
Yeah.
I think Torsten knew her as well. And what's amazing about Daphne is I found some which go through many months of the year. So I'm going to plant these tomorrow.
Absolutely stunning.
So watch this space, Viking.
And what's really lovely about them is they have beautiful scent.
They do.
So they actually really produce their strongest scent overnight, and so in the morning that's when they smell the strongest. The other beautiful thing about them as well is that they're evergreens as well. So you've got, you know, all these beautiful leaves and just stunning structure. So potentially you might also see this in the balcony garden at Chelsea.
Which is quite fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And then behind it I'm going to put some syringa and some Philadelphia, so they've got a bit of summer colour. So that is my project tomorrow morning.
That's great.
Which is
gorgeous. Beautiful. Look at this colour. Absolutely
amazing,
stunning.
That's sort of these.
I just, it's, oh my goodness, it's just a riot of colour.
Well, it's a tribute to Emmeline in the gardens. We have 4 gardeners, and they do a lot. This is the orangery, Katerina.
Stunning.
Which is
so
quite
beautiful.
Fun. So this is some orange and lemon trees.
Beautiful.
Because we've used, and we collect the fruit from here because we have Highclere Castle gin, which actually Viking serve on many of their ocean boats.
Amazing.
Which is amazing. And
the
best cocktail. but we then, so we harvest all the little oranges.
Beautiful.
And dry them and then send them off to the distillery.
Gorgeous. And did your mum teach you anything? Was there any shared knowledge that came down?
I think I taught myself a lot just from being around garden. I used to go around RHS Chelsea for I don't know how long, and for over many Sundays.
Yeah.
Whilst my pa played golf, I'd drop him at the golf course and I go off around there. So I loved that. It was my time with him.
Yeah.
And it's just I think looking, watching, asking questions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then here, Geordie and I, gardening is a passion for Geordie, my husband. So we've, and we have been continuing to grow things on and work together for the last, 20, 30 years now.
Yeah, amazing.
So it's good. It's just being curious.
Absolutely, definitely.
So living here, one of the things I'm most conscious of is handing down knowledge through generations, through different people, and the knowledge of the gardeners who have looked after the land and passed it on for us to do the same. And I think that's part of the story of your garden for Viking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was the whole thing that I really wanted to bring into the garden. And so in a way, the garden has been imagined for a couple that have retired and have, you know, lived in previous properties which have been bigger, with bigger gardens, and they've downsized, but now actually they've got a space that they want really to be their own. And even though they've got a smaller garden, actually the knowledge is still there. And like for me, like my parents, that's what they did for me. Like I remember as a child, you know, learning so much from them. The whole point of the balcony garden is that, you know, it's all part of the shared knowledge and shared learnings.